everybody. It's been a while. Welcome back. It's me, Ed Carbajal, mixed martial arts analyst for FrontproofMedia.com, and you're listening to the long overdue Carbasel MMA podcast. It is late Sunday night, November 6th, the week of UFC 205, the UFC bringing their big guns to New York. We've already had a couple of MMA events in New York. I think it was KTFO 15 was really the first one that happened. That was, I want to say, early October or late September. And then Campbell McLaren and Combate Americas brought their show to Verona, New York. And that was highly marketed and a really good event, actually. It was supposed to be for their first title fight, but one of the competitors did not make weight. So that didn't happen, but anyway, apologies for the disappearance. I know the last time you guys heard from me was UFC 200, so it's been 5 pay-per-view events, but lots of stuff has gone on. And unfortunately, life gets in the way. So without any further ado, let's just move forward. I was, if you saw the announcement, actually, I mean, it's not like I haven't been working. I was at the UFC 205 press conference when they were announcing the card for New York. For Frontproof Media, and you could go online and check that out there. Obviously, it's one of the best press conferences the UFC has ever had. So that's coming the end of this week, but this past weekend, I worked at Bellator 163, which I feel like that would have been a good card for New York, but Scott Coker had said to bring Bellator to New York, he wants it to be a really, really big card, and you can't really blame him for wanting to do that. So they're not making it. Bellator's not going to make it in this last quarter of 2016. Obviously, we've only got a couple of months left of this horrible, horrible year. It's been a bad year for me. But anyway, so they won't make it to New York by the end of 2016. But he actually said in the press conference for Bellator 170 with Chael Sonnen and Tito Ortiz that they are looking to come to New York the second or third quarter of 2017. So I guess he's like me. He doesn't like cold weather, because I actually hate, after Thanksgiving, from late November, December, January, February, and even some of March in this area, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, that's winter. That's all winter. I know the calendar doesn't say officially it's winter, and considering these fighters fight half naked in a cage for our money, they definitely are probably not as comfortable. It's hard. I can tell you, as somebody, as a martial artist that's been training on the sorry about that. I'm doing this through my phone on the Spreaker Studio app. Part of the reason I've been away is because I lost my studio physical quiet recording location. So I'm trying to use this podcast is hosted on Spreaker, so I'm trying to use the technology they give folks to record on the go, and that's what I'm doing now. So sorry about that. Anyway, as I was saying, the second and third quarters, generally that's the nicer times of year around here. So I think it would be better for the fighters' health. They don't have to worry about catching colds and flus and things like that, and they can get outside and train and do their road work and stuff versus some indoor dry air breathing in and messing with their lungs and stuff like that. I'm actually just getting over a cold myself, if you can't hear it in my throat, so it's pretty bad around here. But needless to say, this past weekend was okay. UFC Fight Night 98 was in Mexico, so they didn't have to worry about any type of sorry weather like we have around here. That was a really long card, and I tuned in to watch it before I went to I had gotten back from Connecticut after covering Bellator 163, so I want to just take you through the weekend. My weekend going back and forth between So when I got to Connecticut, I made it there in time for the weigh-ins. The Bellator 170 press conference was there. And I find it odd that Tito Ortiz is so upset with Chael Sonnen, given their history with the match that they had in the past where Chael Sonnen had beat Tito Ortiz, because he was on his podcast not that long ago. And they seemed like it was water under the bridge. So whatever. I mean, whatever you got to do to sell a fight, but I just find it odd that he seems more upset than he has been in the past when facing opponents. So, I don't know who the bad guy in this is, because when someone's that angry, you kind of wonder, if they're just an angry person and if they're bad or whatever the case may be. I don't know, but I am excited to see the fight. Considering that they both wrestled each other in the past and Chael won that match, I don't know if Tito's going to anticipate wrestling him in January 21st when they fight at Bellator 170. But that was the highlight of Thursday. Before that press conference was the weigh-ins for Bellator 163, and I'm sure all of you know by now that Paul Daly did not make weight. Either he didn't make weight or he was injured. Bellator tweeted a rib injury, but other reports were coming in saying it was a weight-cutting issue. It could have been a combination of the both, but what are you going to do? I mean, the guys are, the rate of injury, they get hurt more getting ready for fights these days than actually getting on fight night, which is probably why guys like Michael Bisping can win titles on short notice. And who else did that recently? It just slipped my mind. But anyway, so fight night, Bellator 163. Mohegan Sun holds really awesome MMA events, especially for Bellator. So if you can get out there, I know it's in Connecticut, which feels like the end of the earth when you go, but if you can get out there, I mean, definitely get out there for a Bellator card. It's very exciting, and the arena it seems small, but it's big, so it's a great time. And if you saw the main card, every fight on the main card was all first round finishes. Ed Ruth and Tyrell Fortune made their MMA debuts coming over from wrestling. And they both got first round finishes. That was on the prelims, but in the main card, every single fight had a first round finish. And it was funny because I think 162 was the same thing. So their events lately have just been like just great finishes, almost highlight reels. And even the main event with Liam McGeary and Phil Davis went the distance, but I was rooting for Liam McGeary to win just because he's a jiu-jitsu guy out of New York here, and he trains under Renzo Gracie, and we all kind of like, I don't know him personally, but it's always just like 6 degrees of separation when you come to like New York, New Jersey, and Philadelphia and jiu-jitsu. So it's a very tight-knit community. So I was rooting for him to win, and it was his first fight after being out for a while. He had a knee thing, and then the fight got pushed back. It was almost a year that he hadn't fought to defend that title. So that's a hell of a guy to fight. Credit to Phil Davis. He definitely fought smart, and the only way I saw him winning was by decision, by using his wrestling and controlling him on the ground and just avoiding submissions, which he admittedly said he had a hard time doing during the post-fight interview at the press conference after Bellator 163. Neiman Gracie made his Bellator debut, and he won by a really tight armbar. Actually dislocated his opponent's elbow. So if you haven't watched that, I mean, all those are on the highlights are on YouTube, and the Bellator app. It's actually really good. That's how I watch fights now. So I know I've complained about Comcast taking Spike away from me. So if I'm not at the event, I actually watch it the next morning with my coffee on the Bellator app on this phone that I'm recording this podcast on. So, really eventful weekend for MMA. And then, obviously UFC Fight Night Mexico. Man, Tony Ferguson, I mean, he's in it, and I guess he's not worried about titles, but and you can't blame him. I just published an article, this is why I'm recording this. Because when McGregor's in the picture in the division, it's like they're gonna obviously UFC is gonna cater to him. So why worry about about what the rankings say? That's kind of what he probably wanted to say. I mean, I'm not a mind reader. Who knows what he wanted to say, but he's smart to not call out anyone and just let that fight happen. He's young enough and busy enough. I'm pretty sure he'll be fine fighting the winner of that, if they even let him do it. If McGregor happens to win the belt, which I don't think he will, but I'll do a separate podcast for UFC 205 because that's a long time coming here in New York. But he was just happy to win, and he was having fun in there. And the first round, though, he was in trouble. Dos Anjos was fighting a smart fight, but Ferguson kept doing that calf kick to his lead leg, and that I think won him the fight eventually. So, kudos to him for that win, man. We're gonna definitely see him either fight for the title and or defend it a few times. He's up there, and he can't be ignored. They just have to let 205 play out. So I don't blame him for not calling anyone out. But and last but not least, this podcast, I know we only have a few listeners, and I probably lost a few with my time away dealing with what I had to deal with. But we got a really good guy over at Frontproof Media. He does a lot of YouTube videos, podcasts, Pure Evil MMA. You can follow his YouTube channel, Pure Evil MMA TV. He's literally puts out content almost every day, right after fights. He does interactive chats and stuff like that. And he's jumped on board with Frontproof Media. So please go give him a follow on Twitter. He's at evil_echo. And his YouTube channel, and he's going to be helping me out over at Frontproof doing the MMA coverage and just breaking down fights and talking mixed martial arts. And it's a really good time for mixed martial arts. 2016, it's been a rough year for me personally, but for the sport, if it wasn't for the sport, I probably would not have had any pluses in 2016. So, World Series of Fighting will be closing out mixed martial arts for me this year in 2016, and I think I am going to be in the Garden for that event. I will be at weigh-ins this Friday, so make sure you're following me on Twitter at Carbazel. Make sure you're following Frontproof Media. If you'd like to help out this podcast and my website, the Blogboard Jungle, just go over to blogboardjungle.com, click on any of the Amazon links to make your Amazon purchases or your Onnit supplements if you like Onnit. There's some Onnit links on there too. You get what you want without, it doesn't cost you any extra. You just make the purchase through my website and you help me out. So hopefully, if this app, I don't know how this is going to turn out. I'll play it to myself. And if this works out good, then we've got ourselves a show for the future, and I can keep up with MMA and keep on talking to you guys, and we can just keep on keeping on with our MMA and all of our fight news. So thanks for following. I am going to put another episode up this week towards the end of the week, closer to 205. So thanks for listening, guys, and I'll talk to you then.